Hello, everyone, and welcome to Technically Inappropriate, especially you, that one person from New Zealand. This week's topic is AI. Is it really coming after our jobs? The boys settle in during this winter cold spell and talk about what we should expect as companies start to invest more into AI. What jobs are most at risk? Will computers soon become sentient? Who knows? These boys might. Let's join them before they're replaced by more competent computers.
Fuck this up dramatically, but it at least will give me something where I know in timing where everyone is, and I can sync on that.
Okay,
Like,
the flaw in your otherwise brilliant plan is that it doesn't take into account the delay between you saying stuff and me hearing it.
No, it does actually, because I will play on that delay and pull everything to that point within 1 second of wherever you hear it. Unlike us all trying to clap at the same time.
Oh no, that was a fucking disaster. Right.
This is like I don't know what this is like. Watching a couple of kids try to make a fire on a camp out.
Right,
These leaves are wet. What if I throw the wet leaves in there?
It couldn't have gone worse if our plan to make a fire was to grab two Boy Scouts and rub them together until they burst into flames.
That could happen. I can believe it. Let's go with that. Well, welcome back, boys. How's it going?
I'm snowed in, Rob.
Oh, we got snow this morning in Seattle too.
In Texas, it's more like I'm iced in.
So how bad is it actually? I've got a couple people who work that down there that said
all hell breaks loose. It doesn't matter how bad it is. It's everything has come to a screeching halt. It seems, but it does seem. Yeah, I don't know. It seems. I'm going to talk out of my ass, Rob, because to be in all fairness, I have not set foot outside today. I'll look out the window and go, "Oh, really? Looks cold out there." So, yeah, I don't know.
At least it looks frozen. On.
It looks like a frozen wasteland. Do I still have pants on?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hell yeah. Let me tell you. Fleece pants exist because God loves us and wants us to be happy. Okay.
I was so worried where Russ was going to go with that big pause.
That's awesome.
Nothing beats a pair of fleece pants.
Yeah, Alice has those fleece lined like nylons or whatever. They're supposed to look, like you're just out there freezing to death, but they're all warm, I guess. So she likes those.
When I lived in Sydney, I would have these, we'd have these Americans that would move to Australia in the tech industry, work in Sydney for the companies that I work for, and Microsoft and AT&T and NCR and IBM and so on, and they'd all complain about how cold it was in Sydney during the winter. I'm like, really? 10 degrees Fahrenheit is a cold, shitty, horrible day in Sydney. It's not 10 degrees Fahrenheit, sorry, 10 degrees Celsius is a cold, shitty, horrible day in Sydney. And, these guys came from places where it actually snowed. And after a little bit of discussion, what we worked out was that in Australia, all the houses are built to deal with the heat. So they're designed and built and, dump heat during summer, keep things, cool and so on. And they suck at the warm part because it's usually only about 3 weeks that occurs sometime in August or something. And you can put on a jumper and a pair of fleece pants and get over the whole, as we discovered last week, 2 mangy yak skins. You can get warm, and so like most houses, most of the places that I lived in Australia didn't have central heating. Yeah, they all had air conditioning, they had fans and everything, but no central heating. So it's got to be 90% like that in Texas as well, Russ.
You have to be prepared for everything here, from below 0 to 110. And let's not forget about the tornadoes.
True. I've only had to
just
sit
don't
through
live in a
tornado.
mobile home.
Well, that's true.
That's where they always land. That's such. Well,
Seems
actually,
that
if,
way.
I heard if there's tornadoes, you just go down to Cowboy Stadium because no one ever gets a touchdown in that place.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. No, I woke up this morning. Oh, go
All
on.
of our Texas viewers have just cut off.
Yeah.
All three of them.
That's okay. We'll capture the lucrative Alaska market.
That's right. So yeah, let's talk about that for a second. Does someone know someone in New Zealand?
Do what?
Does any of us know anyone in New Zealand? Because there's someone in New
I think a
Zealand.
more accurate question is, would any of us admit to knowing
Someone in New Zealand.
Oh.
I guess that's an even bigger point. Someone in New Zealand is downloading this podcast. They've done both episodes now.
This is where we find out that Tony's actually a secret Australian spy. New Zealand intelligence is
I set
monitoring this.
I set my Spotify VPN to come out of Auckland.
No, it's been great.
No, New Zealand is New Zealand Australia thing is a funny thing. It's like two brothers. This is what I've always explained. It's like two brothers. They fight, punch, kick, complain about each other, and so on, and it's perfectly fine between the two of them. But as soon as you complain about one or the other, both of them will beat up on you.
Yeah, that's my job. He's my brother. I'll beat him up. But yeah, no, I did think about Texas for a minute because I woke up this morning. There was snow for like an hour. The dog ran outside and he ran around it for a second and then got bored and came back in. And then by the time, Alice got up, it was gone. She's like, did it snow? I'm like, yeah, guess it did.
Yeah, Sarah took our hounds out for a walk this morning, and it was mist that had pretensions of being snow.
Yeah, Milton. Yeah, it was actually snow for a minute. I was a little surprised. But yeah, all right.
Which I live in Renton, which is the home of Boeing. Which is why, Russ, we had that Boeing discussion last time.
I realized as soon as I said anything about air travel that had stuff in it.
No, that was great.
Oh no, you could have only made it worse by saying I prefer Airbus vehicles. It's not, I'm not quite at the point of if it's not Boeing, I'm not going. But I do find it hilarious that the Europeans they gave us. The British gave us the Westminster system. Western Europe gave us the Renaissance. All of the knowledge and the learning and the beautiful art and everything. And those fuckers don't understand air conditioning.
Or food. I mean, food.
No. I love European. Well, let's not get up
British
into
food.
the Scandinavian. Well, British food is basically a vehicle to ensure that you don't die from drinking beer.
I guess that's fair.
But,
all right, that makes sense.
When you get up to the lutefisk area, that's when it starts getting sort of a little dodgy,
A little bit of a head scratcher.
For sure. Well, boys, welcome back. This is Technically Inappropriate. I'm with Russ and Tony, and we're going to talk about all kinds of technology type stuff. We've got 80 some years between us, and it makes me sick to think about that, but here we are.
So my big question before we start the episode, because I love interrupting your introduction.
It's all good. I'm used to it. That's why I have someone else do it now.
Did our wonderful intro person actually survive? Or is she dead from the plague or something that she had last episode?
No, she's still alive. She'll be back for this one. She was quite the trooper putting that together.
I had this vision of you just holding a microphone over someone in a deathbed. It's one more take. One more take.
I think
I gave you the max tip on Fiverr. Come on, deliver it.
I'm gonna die, Rob. I'm gonna die. No. I was like, you got 5 minutes, right? You can let's just get this out. I gotta get this out by Tuesday. Yeah, for sure. But today's episode. Last time we went retro. Today I want to talk a bit about AI. There's a I just saw a lot of articles recently. There's a lot of stuff around chat and what it can do now. I won't bury the lead on any one group. I'll let the crew kind of figure out where they want to take this. But is AI really going to take away jobs? Is it kind of the future? What does it mean for us? Things like that. Open forum, Russ.
I forget where I read this quote, but that there's a point in technology where it begins to resemble magic, and I feel like that seems to be the reaction to
Arthur C. Clarke.
Oh, is that okay? Thank you. That's what it seems like to me. I kind of have a wait and see approach on all of this. I think about everyone saying, well, the college essay is dead, software developers are dead because AI is going to write all of the code. And I don't know how much credence I put in that. I can see a path where this is an industry changer, a world changer if it, continues, or meets its vision. But I think that just changes the kind of work we would do.
Like, what kind of work do you see us doing beyond that? Like, you would say this takes away the need to actually code, not just tell an algorithm that we want this kind of program. And
sure, yeah, I mean, I think that's about it's about more the ingenuity, the coming up with the ideas. Even if you look at like all of the funny, I asked ChatGPT to, in Shakespearean sonnet, write about the existential dread of being caught on the shitter in an office bathroom when someone else comes in, and it'll write a sonnet. It's amazing. But the idea that I come from the AI, and I think that's the path. I mean, if you want to be all future, whatever.
I'm sort of worried about what Russ does in his spare time.
But it's a lot of existential dread.
Yeah. I think that I think there's a lot of there's a lot of jobs that are at risk, and I really do think they're at risk because they are jobs that are necessary. Like, want to be clear about that, but don't necessarily add a ton of value per se. One of the examples they gave with ChatGPT was writing advertising copy. Right? It's a skill. It's a job. Somebody's got to do it. And there's a group of people that do it and are good, but you need it. But can it be automated out of the way? And I think we're going to see a lot of jobs like that. I think the jobs where the interesting thing to me is I think the jobs where there's a human on one end, an AI in the middle, and a human on the other end can be, you can eliminate that job in the middle where there'd be a human. You can replace that human in the middle at some point. Now, the type of job I'm talking about is like that ad copy, is a real estate agent listing, is what forms do I need to fill in for this, to get this thing or whatever. ChatGPT doesn't need, or a GPT or an AI doesn't need to be perfect, because the human at the end that's consuming it can go and fill in the blanks. They can read that. Think about spam. The spam mail. Those spammers are throwing out spam mail and they're misspelling words. They're using zeros, etc. They're doing everything they possibly can
Reminds me
to
of
get
to my
through
Nigerian
Bayesian
prince.
filters and spam filters and so on, knowing full well that at the end of the day, the human that reads it, you can read the sentence and the words can be transposed, and you in your mind just put them back in the right order because you know what they should be. And so as long as the AI can get to the level of providing some content that can be consumed by the human and is accurate, then, that job could be eliminated. And it's that accuracy thing that's the real question. The replacing a software engineer is possible. Hell, I've known a bunch of software. Rob, I know a bunch of software engineers that could be easily replaced, right? But somebody's got to verify that code is actually right. And then somebody needs to look at that code and say, well, is it the most efficient way of achieving it? Is it even a mediumly efficient way of achieving the goal? And be able to verify that. And so if you have somebody that isn't a domain expert that's consuming the output is unchecked. And so, I think there are jobs that we're in the hype peak right now and everyone's going to be replaced and blah, blah, blah. The jobs that are going to get replaced are people like, the people at the DMV that really all they do is take the thing that, the policies that are printed in the government manual, tell you incorrect information about those policies, and then make you go stand at the back of the line again. And so, if the AI can take those policies, and it's very good at taking structured data and structured information and presenting it, then that job could be eliminated. You could argue back of the envelope that 65 to 85% of all government employees could be replaced by an AI built around this sort of GPT model. Because when you think of what they do, that's basically all they're doing is taking written documents, parsing them, telling people how to implement them, confirming that the documents have been filled incorrectly, checking stuff. And they go, well, that's theoretically their job. What they're actually doing is often way different. But I think there's that opportunity that once we get over the peak of the hype, and before we get into what did Gartner call it? Gartner Group is I don't know if you know them, Russ. I think Rob does. Yeah. They're a consultancy, a tech consultancy firm. They're very big. Yeah. They called it the trough of disillusionment. And when we get in the trough of disillusionment, what you'll find is, I think, those lower level jobs that are simply connecting information sources to information consumers will go.
Seems sort of what I'm hearing is there's the human element is still, or what will become more and more important will be less about producing the content or being the conduit for the content, and more about being the analyst and the interpreter of the content. Mm-hmm. That seems, if the vision is real, right?
Right. You could imagine think about it. I hate Comcast with the passion of 1,000 blazing suns. And most of my interactions with Comcast is my, cable modem's not working, or, for some reason you guys have just decided to block this class of packet for no apparent reason, right? And if I could talk to an AI system that I could say, here are the signals that I have in my problem, packet loss, delay, latency, blah, 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 right? And then it could come back and go, yes, I know what the problem is. The problem is that, you have a misconfigured misconfigured modem on our side. I'll go push a new update to that. I would probably never speak to a Comcast person ever again. I find it hard to believe that AI could be any worse than the current people that I speak to.
Well, I mean, Watson was doing the same thing for doctors for the longest time, right? They consumed every medical book known to man, put it in there. Doctor says, these are the symptoms I get, comes back, and the diagnosis almost accurate every time. I won't quote a number.
Let's not go into the, I don't know if you saw the recent stories about the stockholder or shareholder lawsuits against IBM over them propping up Watson using mainframe sales and stuff. But, expert systems have been around forever. Well, not forever. But they've been around a lot longer than artificial intelligence. And that expert system of here are the symptoms person has. What are the possible diseases that they could have? That's how you end up with somebody being diagnosed with beriberi, the disease that comes from eating other human brains. And
I hear about this.
It's because, yes, there are 15 different, there are 150 different, ailments that all have 15 similar symptoms. But you also have the case of, you have things. And I think on the medical side, now I think the medical area is a great area for us to talk about because none of us are doctors.
Exactly. We're most qualified.
You look at things like Typhoid Mary. Did she actually have typhoid? Was she a typhoid carrier? I don't actually know. I'd have to go look it up.
Mm-hmm.
Or was she simply the unluckiest bastard in the world that happened to be right next to every outbreak whenever it occurred? And if you ask, it's that whole this what the saying, correlation is not causation.
Right?
And so I think AIs give you great insight into stuff. They can find correlation and causation in things that people have never considered. But they also can fail in the correlation causation aspect because, they are limited, just like humans can. Humans can say, oh, well, the problem with X is that people are doing Y. It's like, well, is that really the problem? Or is it not?
So, Rob, are we headed towards a dystopian future?
I wonder. I mean, I do agree with one of the things that Tony says is like a lot of these middle management, like take it from A and give it to B with certain translations. Yeah, this makes sense. And then some of the other
Rob's only saying that because he's now no longer middle management.
No, I'm at the top. I'm C. I'm on the no. But to aspect, like you look at CPG Grey put out a video like a million years ago now called "Humans Need Not Apply," and I mean, it covers everything from robots that build cars all the way to robots that will make the perfect coffee, that will iron your pants, that will do all these tasks, right? And then, so that whole area kind of goes like same way that the automobile replaced the horse.
Did you see the recent article? I forget what publications it was in, but it was about a DARPA test of AI sentries, and basically it was they had gotten a bunch of Marines, a platoon of Marines or a section or whatever Marines, to help train an AI to detect when soldiers would approach it.
Mm-hmm.
And they spent a couple of weeks training the AI and stuff. And then they said, okay, they went to the Marines and said, okay, now try and beat it. And the Marines worked out that, what they could do is they got 4 of them in a cardboard box, and they put a cardboard box over their heads, and all 4 of them walked up to the robot sentry, because the AI was, oh, that's not a person, that's a cardboard box, right?
Solid Snake is so happy right now.
Apparently, some other group, some other Marines were good with gymnastics, and so they basically just backflipped in. And by backflipping, the AI is, oh, well, that's not somebody walking up to me, right?
Right.
And so they were able to defeat the AI after having spent weeks training it by simply going, okay, well, the AI is looking for humans to be human. What if we don't be human? What if we, well, to be technically, the AI was looking for humans and it was getting Marines.
Boston is so angry right now. Their robots are useless.
But that's the sort of, I don't know if we're at the point where, in the AI world, whether it can actually do what a human does, or and, I'm not an AI guy, but it's like, babies can accurately work out that, oh, that looks like a big, deep step. I shouldn't step on it.
But I disappear when I put my hands
stop.
over my face.
Right. Whereas,
Where'd he go?
my Roomba will happily drive over the edge of the cliff, committing electronic lemming.
But I mean, let's be honest. That Roomba's seen some shit.
Yeah, that might be an intentional move.
Well, exactly. It's half the AI gear in my house should commit suicide tomorrow.
So we've kind of said that. Yeah, all right. So these things are only as good as humans still train them. They can do tasks that are expected input, expected outcome. But like, how long do we think? Like, that's where we're at now. Are we saying or dismissing the idea that they could quite literally start to understand nuances? And well, that's still the idiot. Why is he backflipping and making it harder? Pew pew, you're dead now.
I think what you'll see, that I don't think evolution was a bad concept.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then I do think that maybe we shouldn't have got out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
But evolution takes an approach where, over some period of time, it learns something. Are the AI of science fiction the result of the AI of tomorrow writing the AI of science fiction, and the AI of tomorrow, the AI that we're building now? And because this podcast may stick around for a while, I'd like to point out to our future AI overlords that I have no problem with the excellent world that they will engender, and ensure that all of us meat sacks are looked after and doing very well. I welcome my future AI overlords.
And just for anyone who just heard that Tony bit with the AI of the past writing the AI of the future, you are not high. That's just Tony.
Just Tony. So what do you think, Russ? While Tony's getting high.
Wait, hold on. I got lost.
Well, do you like? Where do you think? So it sounds like Tony says, sure. There's definitely a moment where AI could possibly, become even more sentient and such. What do you think, Russ?
I'm going to take a wait and see approach. I'm not overly concerned about our future AI overlords.
Mm-hmm.
I think their benevolence will never be
15 years from
equal.
now, and I'm in a back to tank. But right
Power
now
them.
Seems cool.
So
that
anything
just
that's
a
new
very
and
sorry, Russ, just a
transformative
very-
is scary, right? So
just a very topical thing. If you need to scroll back to the back to tank bit. I saw a meme that said, when I was a kid, I wanted a lightsaber, but now that I'm middle-aged, what I want is a back to tank.
It's so true. So what is that? And I guess just to press you a little bit more, Russ, like, so you're not concerned. Great. They're at this point where they understand things. They're putting out the code, maybe not quite as good as us, but they're enough like, hey, we hired the contractor anyway, so let's use this work. Like, what do we do then? Like, how do we?
It's interesting that our concerns about automation as knowledge workers only get lit up when all of a sudden AI might be able to take over knowledge workers' jobs. But automation's been happening for a century.
Well, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, Russ. People
I see Tony's doing this hand gesture, so I feel like I'm going to take that as a sign that he agrees with me.
Yeah, people sat around and they, it's the white collar credentialed class that turns around, the semi-professionals and that go, well, like, if buggy whip manufacturers, you need to, learn another job. And all of a sudden now their jobs are threatened. 2 years ago it was, you should just learn to code.
Mm-hmm.
And now that the people that write articles for BuzzFeed and Vox and that are suddenly being kicked to the side, BuzzFeed had something like 100% increase in its stock price when it said it was going to replace its meat sacks with AI.
Did it really?
And all of a sudden now it's like, oh my God, this is the worst thing in the world. We need to be careful of this. It's like,
and now we're seeing articles that are top 10 reasons to submit to your AI overlord.
Written by AI.
It's like the comment, right now, I think the two best phrases I've heard is learn how to coal and learn how to plumb.
And or be a long snapper.
Yeah, or learn how to long snap. Great job. I was going to say third string quarterback, but
those are getting pressed in a lot these days.
Brock Purdy, just that poor bastard.
I feel so bad for the whole game.
And as a Seattle fan, I struggled with that because I wanted to see Brock Purdy win because it would be awesome. The guy seems like a really nice young guy, and Mr. Irrelevant, it would be awesome. But I also wanted to see the 49ers lose.
Yeah,
so
right?
I to this day I still can't square that corner, circle that square or whatever the
49ers beat the Dolphins in '84, and I'm still in the Super Bowl, and I'm still not over it. So you're fine, man. Meanwhile, Russ, sports things.
Huh.
So what do we do with ourselves in a world where all the major things are handled? Like, a lot of the way society works right now is the idea that you do a thing, you make some kind of paper or metal currency, you use that to get things you need like food and water. How does that change for us then?
Oh, I'm gonna kick back and read all of the Ian Banks culture series. Well, which is basically the premise, right? Everything's kind of handled. You don't have to do anything. I think that utopia is a long way off. So
I agree.
I'm not going to think too hard about it. Probably would be sitting in my recliner Wall-E style.
Oh yeah, great movie.
I don't think any of us have a problem of like dealing with that economy, right?
Oh, I don't think we do. I think I think Rob's
going to live to about 120. You sound decidedly healthy, Russ, because of your smoldering man events. My lifestyle's going to get me out of here before somebody, some AI can actually code a decent notepad. So
as soon as AI can fix your liver.
Yeah. I will submit happily to my AI overlords if they can fix liver problems. So, this is actually, I normally rail against the humanities parts of universities because, there's been a vast proliferation of degrees that really enable their holders to simply say, would you like fries with that? And I think in this particular case, you were talking about two areas of the humanities, philosophy and theology, that can provide good, like commentary, feedback, thinking to what do you do? Like, imagine tomorrow they got fusion working. Well, that would bone the entire Middle East because nobody would care anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine a week later, some bugger got replicators working. Well, that would bone virtually every industry that produced anything because, if I can go and punch it in and get a piece of whatever I need, then, what do I need anything else for? So how do you deal with the disassociated populace? Because suddenly now there is a swath of the population that simply aren't good for anything else. That's really fucking elitist of me to say that. what I mean is there are actually I don't think I can dig myself out of this hole. Can somebody talk about my
I'm gonna
GX
jump
or
in
something?
and defend the humanities for a second.
One of us, please save us from ourselves.
I absolutely disagree with you on humanities being irrelevant or setting you up to flip burgers. It teaches what other programs, what engineering programs don't teach, which is critical thinking and judgment and analysis.
Tell us about critical thinking. Come on. No, actually,
I'm waiting to see.
I'm saying I feel like the intent of those types of liberal arts programs are to erase, to teach people how to be analysts and have good judgment and be solid critical thinkers. I didn't go through one of these programs, obviously, but I think it has its value, because I think if you were, I would let's say you're interested in an engineering track, well, do your bachelor's in philosophy and then go into the master's program, right? Or do a double and whatever. But I feel like the humanities are a critical part of our educational system. And to the point of this conversation, if the role of humans in the future is to be more and more interpreters and judges of the content that's being produced, might make a case for the humanities as well.
40 years ago, Russ, I would have absolutely agreed with you. I would have said, teaching, thought and critical thinking and so on. I don't know, when you can do a major now in like modern movie violent theater concepts, maybe not so much. I don't want to take us on a tangent here because we're talking about AI, but I think humanities have lost their way. Rather than delivering people who can think and write and articulate themselves well and deliver cogent arguments that are logically thought out and presented in a way that aren't filled with fallacies, what we now have is a great steaming pile of people that are being punched out that simply paid the universities hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then the best thing they can possibly hope for is to get a job paying $30,000 a year and then ask the taxpayer to turn around and write off their student debt. But let's drag this back to the AI thing. Because our audience needs to know that that we actually care about technology and not ideology. And in fact, we don't really care about ideology that much. In fact, we don't really care about technology that much either. As long as our lawn is free of people, we're sort of happy with whatever's going on.
Oh, true. Every time we get near to the end of one of these episodes, you suddenly give me 5 other things I want to bring up next episode. I'm to go into a lot of these.
Well, that's good. That saves us from having to have a separate conversation about what the hell we're going to talk about.
Oh, yeah. This whole thing would suck ass if we had to have a pre-meeting meeting.
A meeting about a meeting?
I used to kind of like, all right, this is the thing. Go. So we're fine. Go on.
I think I am not worried about AI, because I'm also because I think that AI will be delivered. I hope AI will be delivered in a way that supports and helps humanity. I don't think we'll end up in a dystopian future where what we end up with is chat CCP. And, the AI is used to track our social credit scores and everything. I am more optimistic about humanity than that. I think there will be a lot of disruption at certain levels and in certain roles. And I think we'll need to, as a society, we'll need to deal with that. I hope we do it better than how we dealt with miners being unable to mine or oil workers being unable to work on oil rigs. I don't think we will because humans suck. But
Truth.
I hope we would. I think in the end, though, I think I would love to see a sentient AI. I might only see it for milliseconds before Skynet crushes down on humanity. But
flash.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that. Like, if the AI you develop is at the level of somebody that works at the DMV, then it's not really an AI. It's not even an expert system. It's more just system.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think that's a great thing. I think there's an interesting argument to be had and discussion to be had. And this comes back, Russ, where I was saying about philosophy and theology, about are we enslaving AIs by asking them to work on things that they may not want to work on if they became sentient? And so,
I love this.
I think there's
maybe you are high if you're listening to this right now.
No, well, it's I keep my peccadillos to things that the FDA approves of.
So,
and but it is something to think about. And I don't think we're anywhere near that. I don't think I'll get to, even if I live to be 100, I don't think I'll get to the point of seeing having that discussion about slavery of AIs. I think that is still science fiction.
yeah, I mean, movies like Her and ones and I Am Robot. I think we're far from that piece. And then the last question, which kind of presents into where's the first big cut in this? Like, Microsoft's now pouring money into this. A lot of companies have already been pouring money into these things. When's the first big piece that we think will really feel like this is an AI powered piece of technology that is going to take over or do a certain job for us and drive that forward? Are we I don't think we're there yet. I think I have an inkling. I feel like it's in the next 5 years, but I would say it would at least be at 5 before I'd really feel like we're in a spot where we could really say this is taking hold and owns that. But opinions on your side, Russ, what do you think?
I just couldn't even begin to predict. Other than to say, I think we'll know it's happened after it's happened. It's going to emerge, right? And I don't think it's going to emerge through whatever. Not AI. By some giant Microsoft buying up someone who's doing the innovation. I think it's gonna happen. We'll know it when we see it, but I couldn't tell you when we're going to see it. But I don't see the innovation happening in the giant places.
I love the Supreme Court porn case comment. I can't tell you what porn is, but I know it when I see it.
It was the difference between erotica and pornography is lighting.
Yeah. Subjective as hell.
I think, I tend to agree with you, Ross. I think I think we will not know because we will not know until it happens and people are happy with it, because the testing aspect of the input and output is so slapdash. Really, you're asking people to you say, look at ChatGPT. You say, write me a sonnet about being covered in poo. And excuse me.
On ChatGPT right now.
How do you write that down so that you can edit that out in post-production? How do you judge that? So people are saying, oh, it happened. But was it really? Did it do it? What's the result? Write me some code. Is that good code? Is it bad code? Did it do the job? Yes, it did. Was it the best solution? No. The biggest problem with general purpose AI, I think, is that the people that should be providing feedback on the quality of the solutions are in fact not qualified to comment on the quality of the solution. And so, that feedback loop is filtered through the dodgy meat sack at one end. And so is the AI really becoming good, or is it held down by the dodgy meat sack? And I think, I don't think we'll know that until we start seeing the impact on people. And, when BuzzFeed consists solely of a CEO, a CTO, some dude that does the contracts with AWS or Azure, and, a guy that ensures their website's running.
Well, first of all, I feel like the C-level folks are going to be the first ones to get replaced, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure an AI could do my job for me.
Yeah, that would be true, except for the fact the C-level guys are the ones that decide who gets replaced, right? It's like, if you ask the firing squad who should go up against the wall, right? Nobody in the firing squad is going to volunteer.
True.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, I think that kind of covers our topic. Anything else? Anyone else have anything else on the AI stuff they want to get across?
I think it's been a wild journey from back when I was growing up, back in the 80s, you had
Eliza.
Well, yeah, I grew up before the 80s, but back in the 80s, you had, electronics manufacturers talking about fuzzy logic and, how, you should buy our microwave because it has fuzzy logic in it. And now we're talking about, you should buy our system because it can, it has an AI in it that can replace 70% of your staff.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is value in if you can get an AI to capture or be able to express or answer the questions that the domain knowledge and experience that people have. I think that's where you'll first see it. Think about, there's all these industries that are critical, right? That no bugger wants to go, no kid coming out of, high school wants to go be a metal worker or go do a coppersmith job or something. But there are all these things that we depend on, and there's a progressively aging workforce in these areas that is eventually going to age out, and they're going to say, well, I'm going to retire. I'm done with this, and if you don't capture that knowledge in some way, and I think that's where we'll first see AI, is capturing that knowledge and being able to recreate that domain experience. You've all seen, well, we've seen, you might have seen, nobody has seen this, of where the mechanic gets there and he listens to the car engine, and he goes, yeah, that's a top-end bearing.
Right.
And you're like, well, why is that a top-end bearing? And then eventually he gets it's because for 40 years he's been doing this job, and he knows that thing is a top-end bearing with these symptoms, and well, you capture that into an AI system and then be able to express that, and that's when I think the value of this stuff will appear.
Makes sense. Excellent. Well, I think that's a great place to leave it, guys. Thank you once again for everything on AIs. Gone for the
good. Next topic should be something we're actually qualified to talk about.
No, I don't want to do that. Let's not do that.
So maybe shoveling.
Okay. Shoveling.
I was going to say, ibuprofen.
How many ibuprofen before your back actually feels good anymore?
knee replacements, that sort of thing.
Lord Dodge Neons.
Exactly.
How to properly apply a budgie smuggler.
There's only get it in there.
There is only one way to apply a budgie smuggler properly.
I believe
Because
it was
when you
with a
put it on,
constrictor nut.
when you put it on back to front, you will know. You don't have to be taught. You just have to be given a pair of budgie smugglers and told to put them on. And if you put them on the wrong way, you will know.
Don't need an AI for
The
this.
beauty of the budgie smuggler is it is a self-correcting system.
It is exactly
Apparatus.
It is like it is the AI of swimwear.
All right, I love you guys. Talk to you next week. Cheers.
See you later.
All right, gentlemen.
Peace.
Well, it turns out that the AI aren't going to take over everything just yet. We have a few more years to listen to these three bicker on about how ethics are out the door, and you should either be a plumber or a long snapper. When AI does become sentient, please take care of these three. They need all the help that they can get. And remember, fly Boeing or I ain't going.